Previously, in our last session, we were introduced to our first heroes of this campaign, getting to meet Enna Scorch, the Dragonling monk, as well as meeting Renny Applewick, our smooth-talking halfling rogue. Our story would begin with our duo on board a river ship, traveling down a wide-reaching river. We'd watch as they would travel this waterway to a beautiful city comprised of 3 massive trees. Seeing Renny and Enna arrive at the hidden lake these 3 massive trees rest on, the pair of them entering the city of Summerbend for the first time. Watching our halfling and dragongling as they would leave behind the river ship they traveled on for well over a month, stepping about the dirt roads and pathways of the ground level of these trees. From there, our duo would get a lay of the land as well as take in some of the locals. Moving up and down the spiral staircase carved into the bark of these giant trees, they'd head to the upper branches of the immense tree. Getting a room at the impressive glow hearth, as well as picking up a job from a request board that would lead them to accept a quest by proxy from a local seer. Spending even more time moving about the entirety of the city, Renny and Enna's first day about Summerbend would close out, with them picking up some new clothes, investigating another possible job request in joining a traveling entertainment troupe, and stopping by the Wind Corral to get a better idea of what travel via hippogriff would entail. Our last scene being of Renny and Enna entering the glow hearth just before sunset. Our session today picking up early the following morning after our pair arrived in Summerbend. The scene opening into the glow hearth as we drift past the front desk and the blue dragonborn innkeeper, pulling to the right of the counter, we'd find ourselves in the tavern section of the inn. Looking at the many round tables that fill the room, there wouldn't be very many people here. Seeing very few patrons in the space currently, we would turn our view to fall upon 2 familiar faces at one of these tables. Looking in, we'd see Enna and Renny, right as their breakfast would be put in front of them. Leon and Barkeep sort of putting down these plates, likely topping off their current drink of choice before leaving the pair to enjoy their morning meal. As we see them maybe begin to dig in, take some sips of their drinks, what would be our vibe during breakfast for the 2 of them?
Enya's probably picking through her food a little skeptically, she's very much getting a good look at it before she takes her first taste. She will end up eating all of it, as always, but after the sad meal here yesterday, she's gonna have high hopes for breakfast.
I think that makes a lot of sense. The breakfast today would be very simple egg sandwiches, no bacon, just fried egg, some cheese, a little bit of seasoning on some maybe a little bit stale bread, but it all kind of works as you kind of bite into it. Nothing wild, but filling.
It's hard to mess up eggs, she says, between bites.
I mean, it can be hard to mess it up, but you can also make them good. I say these are bad, though.
Well,
I'll eat it.
They seasoned it, at least. That's good. What, do you think Mother Baba's is going to be busy this morning? You think we're going to have to go our way through the line again?
I don't know. They seem to be, always busy, which is weird. Mm-hmm. You think they'd have some downtime at some point? I mean, how many problems could this place have?
Well, looking at that job board, she sort of glances over at missing cat, help my neighbors noisy. Seems like people have a lot to complain about here.
That's fair. I don't know. I guess it does seem to want to figure out what you're into, what your desires are. I don't know, maybe people go there for more guidance? It just seems yeah, I don't know. Maybe she should have just given us a fast pass to go to the front.
Mm-hmm. Well, she did say she wanted to talk with us again, so maybe we should head over early.
I guess we could just finish up here, and then, we'll just go straight in. I'm sure we could just walk to the front.
I mean, technically, she's expecting us, so...
That's fair. We'll just say we have an appointment.
Mm-hmm. She like shoves the last bite of her sandwich in her mouth, washes it down with like half a cup of mead. Never leave your drink at the table.
What?
Are you not going to finish that?
Well, I like to. I mean, yeah. I think he tries to gulp it down. It like goes out through like the sides of his corner of his mouth and stuff.
Yeah, the tankards here, they're not very halfling friendly.
It's like too many. Like I try not to leave it, but also it's kind of a lot. That's why I usually have Lucky help me out, and he'll just grab like maybe there's like a bite or two left of his sandwich, and he just tosses it in the hood.
Oh my god.
But no meat for him. He's gotta stay sharp today. Plus, I let him have some yesterday.
Did he like it?
Yeah, he loved it. I think he finished the tankard. We all shared it.
She's just like looking concerned for your poor mouse. Don't think you should be drinking that.
I was just a little bit.
All right, well, hurry up. Gulp, gulp.
Okay.
As we would watch Renny down the rest of his drink, maybe taking, one or two more attempts, but getting it all done nonetheless. Thankfully, already having paid for their meal and drink, we would watch Renny and Enna get up from their table here in the tavern section of the inn, making their way outside of the establishment, probably getting a wave from the blue dragonborn behind the front desk. You guys have a good one out there. Try to keep cool.
Thank you, friend. You too.
Yeah, thank you. This seems to be what this whole land is about. He's already a little misty.
Dredger's instincts to you. She sort of like winks at Renny.
He gets happy. He's like, yes.
Pushing through that heavy wooden door, stepping out front of the inn, we would watch our pair begin to cross the upper branches. Seeing our pair make their way across this portion of the city, you would both be able to see that there aren't too many other citizens of Summerbend out and about this early in the morning. Maybe realizing just how early you both did end up waking up in preparation for this job. So there wouldn't be that much traffic, at least in the upper branches. As you would walk the space, you would have stray rays of the morning sun peeking through the tight canopy of leaves overhead. We'd watch as Renny and Enna would cover maybe the 5-minute walk or so over to Mother Baba's, and as they both would approach, you could see that quaint dome-topped shack that seems to almost be made of an all-enveloping flower, foliage, and fauna that just wrap the entirety of it. Getting closer, you can see that there would even be a small smoke trail coming from the shack's humble chimney. And both of you likely picking up pretty quick that there would be no line of citizens currently waiting outside of Mother Baba's.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah, we don't have to make anybody upset today. Maybe it's not busy in the morning. I wonder what time they actually open. There's no signs in this place.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
I don't either. Guess it's quaint. I don't know. I mean, a small little town, I totally get it. But it's just like way too much.
I guess we should knock this time, huh? She'll just go ahead and knock.
He was like about to push the door open.
And as soon as the pair of you are stepping up to that large circular door, we would see Enna sort of raise her hand in order to knock. But before your hand could actually make purchase on the door, it would vroom, open, swinging to reveal the entrance for the pair of you.
Mm-hmm. After you, Renny?
Thank you. Okay. Head on in.
As we would see our two step into the space, the door behind them would effortlessly shut behind you. And as you would take in the, again, very cluttered and half-organized home around you, you would see that Mother Baba would be sitting by a fireplace just off to the side here. Also noting that Cleanser Armit would be sitting in a matching armchair to the one you would see Mother Baba currently perched in. And it would maybe be just about a half second later before maybe you have the thought of, I could have swore there was a big dresser and like a display full of baubles right where that fireplace is yesterday. And right as you're having that thought, the door closing behind you, Mother Baba would immediately call out, "Oh, Armit, It would seem your armed support has arrived. Sort of turning her back, you would see the large, vaguely elven form.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Cleanser Armit standing up from his chair. Excellent timing, you two. Excellent timing, truly. Mother Baba and I, we actually just finished up our first cup of morning tea. I take it that neither of you need anything before we leave the city, right? I'm assuming by showing up here this early, you're good to hit the road?
He'll look at it.
And he's nodding. Like, yes. So you have your stuff, right?
Yeah, I think I got all my stuff. Well, I mean, he just rummaged through his bag. Yeah, okay.
Excellent. Very good. Very good. And you would see Cleanser Armit turn back to Mother Baba from, again, just standing up from his chair like he was. Mother Baba, again, thank you for helping me arrange all of this. I look forward to another cup of tea upon my return. And Mother Baba, turning to look at Armit, of course, dearie, of course. Is the least I can do for such an old friend. And please do be safe on your trek. You would see Mother Baba sort of turn back, now making eye contact with Renny and Enna. And I expect you two to ensure my friend's safe return, giving a bit of a cheeky smile at the pair of you.
Yes, ma'am. That's what we're getting paid for.
Yeah. Well, we'll be fine. We've done dangerous jobs before. I mean, I assume he's slightly capable himself.
Cleanser Armit probably like giving a bit of a cough to clear his throat. Best not dawdle. Come
Yeah,
along,
okay.
my dredgers. We have a village to aid. Giving a bit of a half bow to Mother Baba as he would walk past her, heading to the front door.
And yeah, would probably replicate that half bow. Yeah, no, I guess that's what we do here. Dredger's instinct to you.
Yeah. Treasure's instinct, and he'll head out.
Yes, Dredger's instinct to my darlings.
He's pumped. He's like, this is catching on.
It's catching on, yeah. We both look at each other like, hey.
Hey.
As we would see Armit head to the door, probably just stepping right past the pair of you. Probably now fully taking in that Cleanser Armit would be dressed very differently than he was the last time you saw him yesterday. He would have a short-sleeved tunic, trousers made of a very airy, almost baggy material, boots that go up to, just below the knee, and you would see that his sort of shoulder-length black hair would still have a braid in it, but it would be a much simpler braid in design than the very intricate one you saw him sporting yesterday. Probably also noting that he would have the satchel sort of, strap across the chest resting on his side. And as Armit would approach that circular front door that the pair of you are probably still, just a couple of feet away from, and as soon as he would approach, it would open up for him. No contact needed. As you would see the three of you step out of Mother Baba's, our sight would drift back ever so slightly, getting to see Enna, Renny, and Armit leave Mother Baba's, watching as the trio begin the trek down from the upper branches of the eastmost sister. Getting to see our party of three move down the giant spiral staircase that's again carved into the actual trunk of the tree. For Renny and Enna, Armit would not be too terribly talkative as he descends down to the ground floor of the tree. While he would stay in the lead, guiding both of you, Armit would just not seem too social at this particular time. Though what would Renny and Enya's thoughts or maybe even conversations be as they would follow behind Armit?
I'm sorry, I think I may have missed it. Have we left, or we're leaving? We're walking out, or have we already left the town?
You're essentially leaving. You guys are descending the giant tree, walking down that giant staircase. This is essentially you guys heading out of the city, but you are leaving the upper branches.
Okay, you did say. I don't know. My brain was like, wait.
You're good. You're totally good.
I think Renny would be kind of excited. Yeah, this should be good. I mean, hopefully he's not like too big of a hassle. I mean, I know we're the backup, but as long as he doesn't get us into some ridiculous situations, this might be kind of nice. Get to see a little bit more of the town, check out a new village. Maybe even come across an awesome little like cave thing. You just never know. Make some money. And then probably thieves can't to Lucky a bit. Don't worry, buddy. I'll take care of you, and we're going to see plenty of town. Just make sure you finish your breakfast in there, okay? I can't have a stinking hoodie again.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be good. Get us familiar with the area. Armit, sir, is there anything in particular we should be keeping an eye out for? Any particularly troublesome creatures in these woods?
You would see Armit probably like look back, maybe slow his step just a little bit. I mean, there are many dangerous creatures in the Gold Reach, but as far as our task in particular, I'm hoping we won't have to deal with anything until we arrive at the small halfling community. I was mistaken yesterday. I couldn't quite remember the name, but it's the Peachleaf community. I'm hoping that our travel will be fairly discreet. We are simply hoping to maybe get to a ferry down at the docks, get over to the mainland, and pick up some sort of ground mount. The trek shouldn't be too terribly long. I think I talked about it a little yesterday, but maybe about 8-ish hours or so on some sort of good ground transportation, I suppose, whatever the locals would suggest. But yes, perhaps maybe I can save the details of what we may or may not find at the Peachleaf community, at least till we are out of the city's reach.
Yeah, that's fine. Keep a little suspense. We'll run everything up front.
Can I roll an insight?
Yeah, give me an insight check.
I'm just wondering, like, what his hesitance is. Like, is he hesitant to speak because we're in the city, or is he just, like, not a morning guy, or is he nervous? I'm just trying to read why he's so squirrely right now.
I get it. I mean, the Cleanser Armit is kind of like a stoic fella, and so definitely trying to get a read on him makes sense. Oh, that is a natural 20 for a collective 26 from Enna. It would probably take you maybe like a little course of the trip, basically heading down to those docks. And again, it's about a 30-minute descent back down to the ground level from the upper branches. And as you would continue progressing on down and down the great eastern tree, you would maybe ask a few prying questions. How long's the trip? Is this, a dangerous endeavor? Maybe just like a few basic questions, because Armit wouldn't want to get too into the weeds of it. And with a natural 20, you could pick up that it's probably twofold. One, there's a little bit of explaining you feel like he would want to do that probably isn't too conducive to essentially doing cardio, but also there is something kind of behind that. Something kind of resembling like a deep concern, maybe a worry. And you're not sure if that is about the job. You're not sure if that's about the travel. You're not sure if that's about you two. But there is a fine line of that little bit of worry in his eyes.
All right, I'll keep that in mind. I don't think it's something that's worth sharing with Renny, especially since I don't have anything specific.
Mm-hmm. It's fair. And after completing again that almost 30-minute descent back down to the ground, we would get to watch Renny, Enna, and Armit progress from the base of the great tree over to the docks. Renny and Enna, these would be the same docks that you entered from yesterday morning. Your sight following across some of the many river ships and fishing vessels that occupy many of the spaces along the dock's edge. Though Armit would continue past many of these traditional vessels, instead heading over to what looks like a small grouping of floating platforms resting just off the dock. As our trio would arrive, Armit still in the front leading, we would get to see as Armit himself would step over to the side where you can see a grouping of what you would guess to maybe be drivers, at least locals, frequenters of the docks, bare minimum. Armit heading over and beginning to sort of mingle with this small grouping of people. Seeing some fairly quick talks back and forth. Armit speaking in a language to some of the people here. Do either Enna or Renny speak Elvish?
Enna does.
Enna does?
Yet.
Yeah, her friend is Elvish. She has an elf friend back in the monastery.
Okay. So, Renny, you wouldn't hear anything besides a language you're not very familiar with, especially being from up north. You probably haven't heard the Elven tongue very much. Enya, as you and Renny are standing maybe, 10 feet or so back from this small group of, fishers, drivers, and workers, watching as Armit would approach and sort of begin chatting about them, you would at first hear Armit simply asking, "Ferry to the land corrals? Ferry to the land corrals." Looking as Armit is asking this in Elvish. And after asking a few of the individuals in the group, you would see a middle-aged elven woman or half-elven woman with a shaved head sort of respond in Elvish. "I can get you there. What's your cargo?" And you would both see Armit motion back to the pair of you. And Enya, you would hear Armit say, "Just me and my friends. We're hoping to head into the Gold Reach in search of truffles and possibly even night bulbs." Half-elf woman giving a bit of a nod before moving past Armit, heading past the two of you, and stepping over just maybe a couple of feet off to the docks where you can see all of these floating platforms currently are. We would see as she would come to one platform in particular, stepping on top of the sturdy top, seeing it shift under her weight. You would see that these platforms are essentially just, tree trunks that have been shaved down and just latched together in maybe like an 8x8 sort of floating bundle. Armit sort of stepping back over to the pair of you, giving a bit of a nod. "All right, we have passage. Right this way." As he would begin to follow in step, heading over to this floating raft. Probably having a momentary second of stabilization as you would watch Armit place a foot out onto the platform as it shifts under his weight, maybe stabilizing before he puts his second foot on it. Probably seeing Renny and Enya have a very similar sort of situation as they both step on board. Bit of moment of weight displacement. Everyone may be shifting about the raft before all four of you, including the driver, would be on board. All of you may be sitting, standing, at least for a moment. But you would see the driver quickly untie the platform from the docks, pushing off from the edge of the dock there, and allowing the raft to drift back for just a minute or so. The half-elf woman would maybe move to the back side of the ship and begin to channel a little bit. You would see a slight bit of arcana trickling off of her fingertips as she does what looks like a bit of like an aerial glyph, though it looks almost like her hands are moving in like a water current before a solidifying of magic would shimmer across her hands. As she would look at the back of the boat, she would push her hands out as if pressing into a wall, and you would feel the raft tug, almost responding. After that, she would go to the front of the raft, where it would look a little strange, but as soon as the raft would kind of be pushed in the correct direction, the driver would move up to the front and almost do what looks like a miming act of pulling a rope. You can see that maybe 5-6 feet in front of the raft, the water in front of it almost tenses and grips as if an invisible hand is squeezing on the water's surface somehow. You would see the half-elf woman continue this miming of pulling a rope at the front of the ship. The ship continuing on this course, as once she gets its moving, that sort of miming of pulling this rope, seeing that tension of water at the front of the ship, gets a little bit easier as you get about adrift. Anything particular between at least you two, or any questions you have with Armit, as this is at least a small ferry ride, would probably be about 6-7-ish minutes or so. It's not terribly fast, but pretty effective.
I mean, I don't think Enya's going to offer conversation because, with that insight, she's picked up that, and overhearing what she heard in Elvish, she's definitely being, low-key about whatever they're up to.
Mm-hmm.
So she doubts she could even have any meaningful conversation with him at the moment.
What about Renny? Anything particular from our halfling friend?
Probably just try to take in the environment, and I also feel like a part of him is just I'm back on a boat. This doesn't take very long. And then I don't know. I figure I could be wrong, but the vibe sometimes I feel like it's maybe I'd be right because he's never been here, so I picture he's just a lot of the fauna and stuff is just foreign to him.
Mm-hmm.
So I picture a lot of it is just he's oh, I'm on a boat. He gets his legs and he sits down, and then he just has Lucky, and he's just oh my god, what is that? What is that tree? Oh god, what is that thing flying? Is that a bird? too big to be a bird.
This giant like dragonfly that like vrooms, flies by.
Yeah, just shit like that. Or like, and then some of it, he's just like, oh man, that's so cool. Look at that. Like, never seen a tree like that.
Especially this early, we're not too hot. So we're not constantly complaining about the heat yet.
That's
Very
fair.
true.
I picture he's just kind of lost in the wonderment of the day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For now.
And again, after only maybe 6-7 minutes at best, the brief voyage across the lake of Summer Bend itself, we would see the raft touch down on the lake's edge, watching it come to rest at what looks like yet another harbor. This one having many other floating platforms at it as well, also noting a few humble fishing boats attached onto the harbor. We would get to see Enna and Renny step on to these actual, again, they're very like wooden, a little bit of stone mixed in on these docks, harbors. And sort of stepping off on this one. You would both probably see Armit would hand over a silver piece to the driver, saying in Elvish that Enna would understand as he disembarks. Thank you, friend. Beacon's guidance. The half-elf woman sort of returning in kind, almost nonchalantly. Yeah, Beacon's guidance. Pocketing the silver coin and pushing off from the harbor already, seeing her using this magic to carry the raft essentially back, performing this miming of pulling rope again as she heads back to Summer Bend proper. With our trio back on the mainland, as the locals would often call it, we would get to watch them head off from the dock, walking only maybe 50 or so feet before coming to a large, classic-looking corral, sort of built between a large clutch of berry bushes on its sides. The make of this one looking pretty similar to the wind corral that you guys had seen, though there would be no signage or postings outside of this particular barn-like structure. Seeing the trio sort of step into the corral, Armit would probably move ahead to one of these stable hands, probably get a little montage of him haggling a bit back and forth with one of these stable hands before essentially handing over a few coins in exchange. But as Renny and Enna are sort of hanging out waiting for Armit to secure some ground mounts, let's get some perception checks from you guys to see what would maybe draw your attention in this moment.
Perception? 13 from Enya.
Ooh, a 10.
We'll start with Renny. Renny, with your 10 perception, looking around the interior of the land corral, you can see several different types of animals here in the many rows of stalls. Large, bright colored horses featuring a second set of smaller eyes. Sizable four-legged reptiles curled in their various pens, as well as these bulky, bison-like beasts with horns that are far too long and point backwards. Watching as at least 8 of these stable hands move about the interior, you get the feeling, especially off your interaction yesterday, that this place, the land corral, is probably bigger and more frequented than the land or the wind corral in the upper branches. Looks like a lot more foot traffic comes through here. Maybe that's because of pricing, because you would know that prices for hippogriff travel are pretty expensive, though very fast, very effective.
Mm-hmm.
You maybe get lost at looking at some of these strange beasts and creatures. And cutting over to Enna with a 13 perception. As you're waiting for Armit to wrap up, your sight would actually move away from the corral. As you look back towards the small houses and structures that sort of line the harbor that you entered from, you can see that tucked away, maybe about 100 feet or so from you, sort of nestled in a cluster of trees, you would see a stone, moss-covered pavilion. After a moment, you would look at it, and you can make out what looks like a worn, very old shrine, even seeing that towards the center of the shrine would be a feminine statue taking up the center of the pavilion. The statue would feature a tall, strong woman, standing high but welcoming with her sort of posture in her hands. Maybe as you're taking in this curious sight, Renny looking at some of the strange beasts on the inside, Armit would finally come back over, maybe clapping his hands slightly after finally closing the travel arrangements. All right, you two. They're saddling up our riding lizards now. They said they'll bring them out front, so here, let's just take a couple more feet out here, give them their space when they get them. I probably should have asked, are you both comfortable on various riding animals. I got each of you a lizard. I wasn't sure if I should book 1 or 2. I just figured 2 made sense.
I kind of feel like Enya's never ridden anything, to be honest with you.
Fair. That's fair.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like yes, but probably rarely. Maybe with some treasures, but I don't think he was necessarily always I don't think he was always by himself.
I think that makes sense.
Like, he's been on them and around them, but like inexperienced. It's almost like when somebody goes like horseback riding, but they put him on the horse that just naturally follows another horse, and it takes like so that kind of experience.
And probably in your past, dredging endeavors, where you have had to use these ground mounts, up in the north, they were usually a lot of, either classic horses or a lot of like rams or goats or just sort of like larger beasts like that. Probably the most familiar creature inside the strange barn was the 4-eyed horse, or maybe even the weird, bulky bison-like creatures, but even they were far departures from what you're used to. But you feel comfortable in a mount. You've had to do it before. Can't be too hard.
I can do it. I can figure it out.
Yeah.
It'd probably be a very, like, if he asked if they're familiar, it would be one of those, like, yes.
Enya's just shaking her head slightly, I think.
Okay. All right. Well, perhaps when they bring the lizards out, we can just maybe take a couple of laps around the land corral here, just to get comfortable, right? We don't want to be learning everything in the midst of the Gold Reach. That could be problematic.
That might be a better idea.
Right. And we would see. You guys have to wait maybe a couple more minutes, 3-4 minutes, before 3 stable hands would emerge from the land corral itself, toting with them 3 riding lizards. Renny and Enna seeing for the first time these large, sleek reptiles. These lizards easily being 20 feet long, though their tail would make up about half of their collective length. They would have 3-toed feet and move very much like a newt, or like a monitor lizard. Each lizard sort of featuring its own unique coloration, though all 3 would have almost like a tiger print-esque sort of like stripe pattern along their back. The stable hands would bring a lizard to each of you, giving you a few tips for having at least a comfortable ride, being sure to also pass along the lizard's name, this being very important because they do acknowledge their name. You would both watch as Armit would climb atop you would watch as Armit would climb atop his lizard with little to no concern. Seeing his mount would feature sort of a dark ruddy green coloration to most of it, with these sort of streaks of yellow and white that make up those almost like tiger stripes along its back and ribs. As Renny and Enna, the stable hands, come over, passing off the reins, maybe helping you actually get in the saddle for the first time. For a bit of fun, a little bit of flavor, Renny and Enna, I want to hear what your lizards look like and what their names are.
My lizard, you say?
You're a big old riding lizard. And again, they can maybe be a little bit bigger than 20 foot, a little bit smaller than 20 foot. So you have some play. Some of them could even have like those minor like feathers that come out the top of the head, kinda. They could be decorated in many different ways as far as riding lizards are concerned.
We'll say Enya's is slightly larger. Like maybe they even walked up and like kind of looked between the 2 of us and we're like, okay, she's getting the bigger one. And it's mostly like a sort of springy lime green color.
Okay.
With like watery teal azure kind of stripes with like black accents around the stripes. Maybe all its little toes are black.
What would your lizard's name be?
Dapple.
Dapple. I love it.
Okay. I think Renny's again probably a little smaller than everybody else's. Maybe just like a half foot shorter than the rest, and like 2 feet not not as long. So it's a little lower to the ground, and a little smaller.
Yeah.
Kind of has like that like pale beige kind of like stomach. Kind of like the bottom of an alligator. And then maybe he just has like these tiny little spikes that are like a dark forest green.
Ooh.
And then from the spikes, there's kind of like little thicker patches of scales that are just like more of a normal green. And then he kind of has like these pale, like bluish green kind of vibe to the rest. And then maybe kind of from like the jaw around like the head is like some of like these like orangish reddish feathers.
Ooh.
That kind of lay back that if he wanted to, it could like puff up. And then maybe his tail at the very end has like 4 or 5 of them. He's a little bit more unique. Yeah, that kind of come
Cool.
off from the very end. And then for his name, that one's tough. Maybe yes, I don't know. I need a second. This is rough. I wasn't ready to name something today.
It's your baby.
This is mine now. Let's give him something random. His name's gonna be Biscuit.
Biscuit. I love it. I love it.
Like everyone has like these like coolish names. No sense. Like, and here's Biscuit.
What's Armit's lizard's name?
You would hear. Actually, both of you give me perception checks. Let's get another round of perception checks just for funsies.
Give me the name, God. Ah, shit.
No.
I got that one.
A natural 1 for Renny, but a 22 for Enna. You would hear Enna, again, seeing him atop his, which is fairly standard length. Again, a bit of that ruddy green, shocks of yellow and white on its back. Kind of seeing him maybe like kind of begin to trot around, you would probably hear him say the name as he's sort of like moving. Ooh. All right, Sunbeam, come on. Oh, okay. There you go. All right. Ah, good girl.
Cute.
And for a fun little bit of flavor, as Armit would probably join you, just doing a couple of laps, maybe around the land corral, maybe even around the very loose, like settlement and community that's sort of at this lake's edge. Both of you give me animal handling checks, just to get a bit of a vibe on how we're doing with our lizards here. Oh, that is an 8 from Enna.
Animal handling. 11.
An 11 for Renny. Renny, it's probably a little shaky at first. Same with you, Enna, where you probably have to like overcorrect a few times. The lizard definitely isn't going to guide itself. That's maybe something both of you are picking up on. And, maybe after acknowledging that, Renny, you're probably being a bit more like forward thinking about its path and sort of where it goes. And kind of like you mentioned, that's sort of where your deficit of learning was, because you've been atop of a few creatures, but this is your first time probably having to properly drive one, steer one. And for Enna, the problem just sort of continues on for a little bit longer. You're maybe overcorrecting, maybe you're saying their name too much. Dapple, please, Dapple. And it's like almost overstimulating the lizard a little bit. But with your 8, it would maybe take you 10, 15 minutes before you could start to feel comfortable. Armit probably picking up on that it kind of took you a little bit to get at least, comfortable in the saddle and sort of seeing you sort of like maybe loosen your posture. Maybe you're not quite as tense on the reins after this, little bit of practice. Armit would maybe look over at the both of you. All right. You both look good enough. Please just be sure to, follow me. Don't lose track. If I get too far ahead, shout, scream something. I'll do my best to keep an eye on you, obviously, but you two aren't the most confident riders, and I'm still hoping to make fairly good time today. And I'm so sorry. How could I forget? And you would see from atop his lizard, he would almost look like he just remembered something important out of nowhere. Watching as the dark-haired elf would reach into his satchel, you would see a moment later pulling out what looks like an orb, maybe about the size of an apple or so. Both of you watching as after a second, Armit would almost lightly toss it into the air as the orb would sort of hover about 6 inches from Armit's shoulder. He would sort of look at the orb and inspect it for a moment before you can almost see an arcane shimmer almost be expelled from this small orb. After a moment, the orb would almost like move and reposition itself a little bit more in front of Armit. Still like in front of the shoulder, but closer to his chest now. Okay, all right. Are you both good? Both ready?
I think so.
Ready as
Alright.
I'll ever be.
No time to waste. As you would see, Armit gives just a very gentle kick, pulling on the reins, directing it forward, beginning to guide his lizard away from the lakeside community outside of Summerbend proper. Armit not going too terribly fast just yet, simply keeping his lizard at a calm stride, sort of passing some of the last of the buildings and structures here in the area. Both of you sort of keeping in tow, again, a nice little trot. But as soon as Armit sort of crosses that outer threshold of the settlement, he would give a little bit more of a sturdy kick to the lizard's sides, seeing it almost leap a little, catching into its full speed. Both of you following suit. Let's get a second round of animal handling checks. I'll let you decide advantage, disadvantage, or normal, based on maybe how your character would be handling this a bit of an accelerated speed your lizard would sort of start into, maybe unexpectedly, as there is that momentary like jerk as it gets in full stride.
I'm gonna go flat. I say Enya has good reaction time. Also, I was just curious, does Enya like recognize
I
what
would
that orb
say
is, what its purpose
bare
is?
minimum, you have probably heard of these Sphera orbs, probably seen some of the elders at the monastery use them. It's essentially like a form of casting here in Elamar. It is kind of like their magic focus. Instead of holding an orb or maybe a wand traditionally, they would use these floating orbs that would sort of hover about their body where their magic would actually be channeled and cast from. You would probably guess, just on your last perception check, that this orb is almost acting like a compass. It's like staying affixed to a position. Maybe seeing that Armit would be gauging his movements based on where this orb is, almost following where it's moving him to. With our animal handling checks, we would see a 12 from Enya and a 6 from Renny. As Renny, it's a bit of a quick jump. Your lizard being a little bit smaller, its sort of like leap is a bit more pronounced as it is off the ground for a split second before it jumps onto a tree, pressing off and continuing on. You're maybe jostled about as your lizard is in like a full sprint using the forest at its advantage. And yet, your little bit larger lizard is just sort of barreling on, and it's maybe a very bumpy ride as it is boom, 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 just going at a steady pace. As our sight would drift back from our trio atop their riding lizards, we would see them begin to charge through the forest. Renny and Enya doing their best to keep up with Armit, though it wouldn't likely be too terribly hard, though your course would be strange, because you wouldn't necessarily be following a path or a trail. Maybe at times Armit would move along a dirt pathway before he would steer his riding lizard through the thickets of the forest, before maybe 10, 15 minutes later returning to maybe the same path, maybe a different path. Kind of hard to keep track, as you would only stay on this for maybe another 30 minutes before a hard turn, continuing through the thickets. Can I get one of you to roll me a d6 as you progress further and further into the forest?
I can do it.
How about Renny?
Get it, Renny.
A 3.
3.
I'm coming across a pile of treasure.
Getting to see our small group as they would carry on like this for several hours. They would only take 1 or 2 breaks over the first about 4 hours of their travel. As they would continue on throughout the morning and well into the afternoon now, let's get some perception checks from Renny and Enya. As the afternoon sun hangs overhead, forest partially alit, a tight canopy overhead makes it a little dark and shady.
Come on, Renny, make up for this. I just got a 6.
Perception. Oh, 15.
15.
There we go.
As you're riding, again, only about the halfway mark of your travel, honestly. You know, you still got at least another 4 or so hours ahead of you. Hopefully another stop here in the next hour or 2, because your legs are probably already starting to get a little numb. But again, after this point, you'd be riding on the back of your lizard, Renny. Again, Armit would only be about 15 feet ahead of you or so. You would probably have Enya and her little bit larger lizard sort of flanking you on your left-hand side. And on your right side would be the open forest. Maybe as you look over at Enna on your left, look off to the right of the forest. You can see as your lizard strides, maybe 30 feet off from that flank, that right flank of yours, you see something moving through the forest. And at first, it maybe takes you a second. Whatever this is, it's not necessarily moving at you. It's moving with you. Looking over through the thick foliage, only for a brief second, maybe parting through before jumping back in, continuing its movement. You can see what looks like a 6-foot-long reptile-like creature, moving on 2 feet and easily keeping pace with your trio of riding lizards. Give me a history or a nature check, Renny.
History.
Got it.
Nature.
History or nature.
21.
21 nature.
Give me the bits.
As you see this, again, about 6-foot-long reptile almost move out from this thick foliage as it gets back in, continuing its movement. That flash of its visage that you see, it probably calls back maybe some horror stories that some other dredgers had told you in their time in the South. Specifically, their time in the Golden Reach. You recall them mentioning these deadly creatures they called a clawfoot, and you would see one of these, again, 6-foot-long, 2-legged reptiles would dart, moving through the forest scape. Before one would jump out, it would catch your attention, Renny. It's not jumping out at you. A secondary one jumped out, moving towards Enna. As it is in air, both of you in this moment, you can see what looks like, for us, a velociraptor jumping from the bush, pouncing at Enna and her riding lizard. Before we get too much into the scene painting, let's go ahead and roll for initiative.
Oh,
it's the Renny
shit.
show from now on. It's Renny and Lucky and no one else.
Oh, that's a 22 initiative for Renny. We'll take that. That's a 22 for Enna. Whew.
Well, I have a 20 for my deck, so.
Yeah, so you still first.
Beautiful.
Nice.
So I'm trying to steal my thunder. It's the Renny show.
We will roll for the Clawfoot. Clawfoot getting a 15. Armit being surprised. He will close out our initiative turn. Enna, on this first round, you are considered surprised. So in your first round of combat, you are unable to take actions or reactions or bonus actions. So we'll start our initiative off with Renny, which is 22. As Renny, you look over, one of these raptors jumping out to pounce on Enya's riding lizard. As you maybe look about the space, you can see more of these creatures, more of these clawfoot creatures. There would be 2 that would be moving with Enna. One of them in midair, the other one you can see trailing off to the side. The one that was on your right flank, it has drifted closer, seeing a second one close behind. Looking up ahead at Armit, 2 would be flanking him, one on his left, one on his right. He would be caught off guard, probably shouting, "What in the hell's Clawfoot?" Renny, what would you like to do in this moment?
It's a normal turn, right?
Yeah, it's for you, since you are unsurprised. You saw these things before they made the ambush. You would probably know you are the only one of your party that was unsurprised by this attack. You had just seen them.
Okay. In Thieves' Cant, he's gonna tell Lucky, get in your pouch. And to go get his little chainmail home. And sorry, I'm just trying to see if this bit has anything else.
Oh, you're good. You're good. And again, a bit more of that scene dressing. You guys are in mid-motion. This is a moving combat, at least right now.
Okay. And so the ones jumping at Enna, 2 are flanking Is it Armin?
Mm-hmm.
Was any of them coming at me that I noticed?
You have 2 on you. You would see 2 on Enya, and you would see 2 on Armit.
Okay. Then. Okay. I was just making sure I didn't have any psychic soul knife bits I was forgetting. Then he's gonna take a moment, line up his shot for steady aim. And he'll basically reach across and create a psychic blade in his hand. And I'll throw it at the one that's leaping at Enya, hoping to disrupt its attack. Like I'm gonna try and strike it as it's leaping in the air.
Hell yeah. For that steady aim, give me an animal handling check with advantage. 'Cause again, this is like mid-motion. This is just to really get a vibe on your actual handling.
21.
A 21. Easily, you
Nice.
probably wrap the reins with one hand so you have an easy free hand. Go ahead and roll me that attack, my good sir, with advantage. 16 will
16?
hit.
Nice.
11 psychic and 11 sneak
Whew.
attack damage. So
Whoa,
20.
nice.
He just reaches over and just. I think it just maybe catches it in its chest and then it just.
And from Enya's point of view,
stab and then.
you look over this clawfoot mid-leap before a bolt of emerald green would shoot past your vision into the chest of this clawfoot. In a moment, it would almost stop midair as if something caught it in true motion. It being hung up before falling back, drifting off into sight as you keep moving forward. One less clawfoot on you, Enya.
Oh, that kill it or just.
That killed it.
Oh damn!
Oh shit, nice, dude.
Uh-huh.
And then just ambush.
All right. Calling out ambush. Enya, surprised on this turn, maybe fully taking this in. You would see the second clawfoot trailing right next to your lizard. It is not looking at you necessarily. It is eyeing the throat of your riding lizard. Going from Enya, we will go to the clawfoots. We'll start with the one that is on Enya and her riding lizard. It will go for a... just going to go for a bite. It's going to go for a bite.
Leave Dapple alone.
Does a 23. It does hit the lizard. Ooh, it does 8 piercing damage as it leaps forward, probably rends into your riding lizard's neck, but thanks to its large size, it does a hearty shake, maybe jumping up onto a tree, jumping off the tree, getting that elevation to shake the clawfoot off before descending back to the ground, kicking it off, seeing the clawfoot come back, drift to your side, unpersuaded, but still eyeing your riding lizard, Enya. That's y'all's ship name, would be Renya. So that's going to be the one on you. We will go to the 2 that are going to jump onto your lizard, Renny. We will see the first one is going to go for a bite as it sort of goes for a bit of a pouncing bite onto one of the legs.
No, thank you.
Another 23. Ooh, 11 piercing damage as the first one sets in tight. And the other will go for a claw, rending at one of the other back legs, clearly trying to stop your lizard. 16.
Ah, no, it hits. Oh, no.
Your riding lizard is not looking super great right now, Renny.
Biscuit.
But it still carries on as it is almost limping a little bit, but thanks to its small size, it's almost using its good legs to almost leap up with its movements, trying to get these 2 claw feet away from its side, but they are too fast. They are keeping toe. And going up to the 2 that are on Armit. The one on the left will go for a bite. 21 will hit. 8 damage. And the other one on Armit's lizard will claw. 22 will hit. Another 8. Beat up, but still moving. As you would see our trio continue on. In this 6-second window, this moving combat, you have already moved maybe 60, 70 feet, just in a constant rush still, wind whipping by each of you. As we'll go to Armit's turn. Looking from his lizard, the two clawfoot flanking his left and right side, he would probably glance back. Seeing Renny's lizard being pretty beat up, he will point at the lizard, and in Elvish, Enna, you would hear, "Be mended, creature of the wood." And a bit of green magic would puff from his hand and swell around some of the wounds of Renny's riding lizard, as it will heal for 5 points, seeing that its back leg begin to mend that slight limp your lizard had now being gone. Still wounded, but carrying on a much cleaner pace. That being his bonus action, he's going to look to the clawfoot on his left, and he will hold out one of his hands. You would see it would almost go bestial in this split second, as it almost looks like a bear claw. He goes for a swing down with a primal savagery. An 8 will miss. The clawfoot being too quick as it evades to the side, drifting back to the flank of that riding lizard. It's going to be it for Armit. We're going to go top of initiative, Renny. Movement still happening, constant speed. 2 clawfoot on you, 1 on Enna, 2 on Armit still. What would you like to do, my good sir?
I think what I'll do is wrap his left hand, a few times around the rein.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'll kind of spin around on his seat and maybe do another steady aim to line up his shot. Best he can, anyway. If I need another animal hand.
We'll say your last one being over a 20. We'll let it persist through this round. You're sort of in the zone with this one.
Okay, so he sees that and he saw it got attacked, so he'll swivel around and then, a little thematic. He'll just kind of see which one, wait for one to look like it's gonna make its move first, and then he'll just throw another psychic blade.
I love it. And was this at 1 on you or the last one on Enna?
This would be on one of the ones on him.
Beautiful, beautiful. A 15 will hit.
So I picture, he's kind of riding along. He sizes them both up. One maybe kind of makes a move like it's going for it. And you said it hits, sorry.
It does hit.
Woo. So 11 psychic damage again. And 4 sneak attack, so 15.
You let out one of these emerald blades. It would dart into the shoulder of this clawfoot that's probably just a little bit ahead of the one right essentially a step or 2 back of it, as they're kind of running in a very loose line. Mm-hmm. As you hit that one at the front, it would maybe falter back for just a moment, but it would drift back into its place, wounded, but still ready to fight.
Can I do a perception or something just to see how roughed up my lizard is? Get a sense for it?
I'll let you just run off that animal handling still, as you maybe
he's kind of spun around. He's
yeah, he spun around. You get a better look at some of those wounds, and its back leg is healed, but you can still see the slight wound. Its front leg, that sort of front right leg, it would have a pretty large gash in it still, but your riding lizard is still pressing on. As far as a loose mechanic bit, I can tell you, they are below half health. Yours and Armit's lizard, they are both low.
Okay. That's kind of just getting at how much more life does this thing have? We keep in pace, are we okay? Okay. And then that's it. It's my bonus action to movement.
And we will go from Renny to Enna, as no longer surprised, that momentary shock gone, seeing one clawfoot still chasing on your left side. You would probably see Renny maybe shoot a shot at one of the ones chasing him, though it would remain true. These claw feet, they are not wanting to give up this kill.
I would assume I need to roll an animal handling for this, but is there any way I can get my mount to pull back a moment and fall back with Renny so I can attack the one he already damaged?
Give me an animal handling check, and I'll let you pick advantage, disadvantage, or normal on this, kind of based on how you think Enna would be feeling, since you had a bit of a bumpier start. How do you think she would feel about 4-ish hours into the journey?
I'd like to think she's doing better, especially since we had a good 4 hours of not dealing with this sort of thing to get adjusted. But she definitely wouldn't have advantage. I feel like I'm just gonna make it flat again because I don't think getting the animal to slow down is an instinct it's super thrilled about at the moment.
That's fair. That's fair.
14.
14. It would maybe take a minute. Thankfully, your riding lizard hasn't quite been attacked, but it is still a bit frazzled as it's moving at a quick pace. It would maybe take you a quick second before you have the thought. Maybe hear the sort of like young staple hand. Well, don't forget to use their voices. They're real smart friends. And you maybe just instinctively just dapple. You just pull the reins hard right as it would drift off to the side. The clawfoot is going to take a swipe at your lizard.
How dare you stop that?
A 14. All right. A 14 will hit the riding lizard.
No.
Who is it? Slashes into it. Whew. Okay, I forgot yours has been hit already. Duh, what was I thinking?
I kind of forgot that too.
I literally looked at its health and I was like, duh, I literally had that. But nonetheless, still alive after that hit, you recorrect. You would pull your riding lizard off to the side. Maybe, did you want to go slightly ahead of Renny, behind Renny? Or do you want to get all the way to the other side of the flank where you'd essentially would be like sandwiching these clawfoots in between you two?
The last option, I think.
Sure. Do that wide dip over behind Renny, maybe giving a slight kick in the sides of your riding lizard to accelerate as you and Renny would probably look over making eye contact is now in between you as you pull your riding lizard in. You have two of these clawfoot still probably like trying to run, maybe like bumping into each other slightly now that you're sort of creating a bit of a harder space, like a harder lane for them to keep moving in.
Yeah.
They would both be available for you to hit. You could probably easily make out the one in front would have a heavy wound on its left side from one of Renny's psychic blades. The one behind it would still look healthy, untouched.
I'm gonna try to injure the already injured one.
Beautiful.
I'll go for a short sword strike. 12.
12 will just miss as you swing the blade out, the clawfoot ducking its head out of the way.
I'll follow up with a flurry of blows.
Get it. Bonus action. That's 2 unarmed strikes.
I think so.
Yeah, 2 unarmed strikes for only 1 key point. Give me those strikes.
Just like the idea of missing with the sword. You're like, fuck it. And just punch the thing in the face.
Yeah, like still holding the hilt in my hand.
Yeah.
Technically, it's an arm strike.
And so yeah, you're like hilt whipping this thing.
Yeah, let's see. So it'll be an unarmed strike, but with my draconic strike, it'll be lightning damage.
Lightning? Nice.
Ah, bitch.
Oh, natural 1. And maybe it is that slight spark up of your fist that maybe cues the clawfoot as you go to swing out. It dips back, almost bumping in to the clawfoot behind it for a moment to evade your deadly strike before it repositions in its run.
Okay. Let's see.
Give me one more unarmed strike.
Quick question. Could I potentially use this?
5 foot wide. Your Breath of the Dragon ability. You take the attack action on your turn. You can place one of the attacks with the next. You could. You would have to reposition a little bit so that way you wouldn't hit Renny, since you guys are basically like side by side. And if you were trying to, kind of cone or use a line shot on these raptors, like Renny and his riding lizard would be front and center for that blow as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely not trying to hit them.
But you definitely can. I don't see why not.
Would I have to fall back and take another attack of opportunity to do that?
Maybe from the front lizard, I would say so. The front clawfoot. But you could probably remain around the area of that back one, so that way you're not out of its sort of melee range, basically, if that makes sense. Sort of like drift to like the other side, so you'd be more behind Renny, sort of like popping the wave or line sort of like at them, with Renny being just like off to your side.
Let's go for the one on you. So you still gotta kill it. I mean, you have to risk extra damage to the...
Yeah, I don't want to risk the extra damage right now. We'll just say she thought about it and then was like, oh no, I might hit Renny. And so instead she just tries to land that second unarmed strike. Still lightning damage.
Get him. You got this.
Ah, bit.
A 9 will miss as your punch goes wide once more. These clawfoot, they are quick, they're smart. All right. Do we have anything else for Enna on her turn? That was action, bonus action, a little bit of movement from the riding lizard.
I don't think so, no.
Okay. We will go over to the clawfoot. You would see the clawfoot, they have all sort of wizened up. Seeing that the real threat is the riders on these particular lizards. We'll start with the 2 that were left on you, Renny, the one Enna was trying to hit. We'll start with that wounded one first, as now its eyes trace from the riding lizard to you as it sort of jumps up and goes for a claw swipe at you, Renny.
Maybe, bro.
A natural 20.
Is that bad?
As you take 13 points of slashing damage, its claw rending into your shoulder. And the one behind it, the second one that was on you, the still untouched clawfoot, will go for a bite on you, Renny. 22. These guys only have a +5.
Oh, God.
You take 6 more piercing damage as its claws wrap around your thigh and rip through it as it sort of falls back into its run.
I think we made him mad.
And the other clawfoot you left behind, Enna, will drift over. And seeing that the other 2 successfully hit Renny, it will fall onto the other side of your riding lizard, Renny. Now having 3 loosely following right alongside you.
I'm trying to save you.
Hey, what the hell?
As this third one will jump up and go for a claw strike on you, Renny. A 7.
Maybe he ducks this one.
As you duck this one, as it maybe falls back slightly as it stumbles after its miss, trying to catch back up as it gets back up on the side of your riding lizard. We will go to the 2 that are on Armit. They will both take swipes, probably at Armit. I mean, he tried to swipe at them. Probably seeing the other pack are going after riders. The clawfoot on the left will go for its bite. A 20 will hit. 5 piercing damage for Armit as it grips his forearm before letting go with the second one, taking a claw. A 17. 9 damage as Armit takes 2 solid blows from these clawfoot that are chasing him. Both of you can see he's staying in his saddle, but he is swaying ever so slightly. As it's his turn, closing out our initiative, Armit will probably place a hand on his chest. You would probably hear an Elven again, Enna. It cannot end like this. Seeing a bit of that green dust almost plume out, mending some of his wounds. Nice, he needed that. He will heal for 7 points. And with his action, he will probably turn back, seeing 3 now circling Renny, probably sporting some of his own gnarly wounds as well. He's going to look at the one that you wounded earlier, the one that evaded Enya's strikes. And he will hold up his free hand, and in Elven, you would again hear Enna. Burn! As he will use Produce Flame and launch a small ball of fire at that wounded clawfoot.
Get him.
For the love of God.
7.
Damn it.
Miss.
Ah.
A shot going wide, maybe hitting a tree trunk, dissipating in a slight puff. We will go back to the top of initiative. Another 6 seconds passing, easily covering another 60, 70 feet in this movement that is currently happening, this moving combat. Renny, atop your mount, what would you like to do?
For mechanical sake, would they be close enough to proc sneak attack? Or no, because they're kind of all around me, right?
Well,
Okay.
I mean, no, they would. You would have sneak attack on the 2 that you guys are sandwiching right now.
Yeah, because I'm
Okay.
here.
Yeah, but the other one that was previously on Enna that drifted to your left flank, you would not have advantage, or sneak attack, I should say, on that one.
And then that one doesn't look wounded to me, right?
Correct. That one does not look wounded. Taking a quick survey, there is 1 wounded one, and it's the one that survived your last psychic strike.
Okay. Alright, Lucky, it might get rough, buddy. Just hold tight in that little pouch. And I want to try and steady aim again.
Easy peasy.
He's gonna ride side saddle like a lady.
Better for stabilization.
And he's gonna go for the one that's not sandwiched between them.
The one that's like flanking that left side of his, the one that kind of came over.
Yeah.
Easy peasy, you got this.
16.
16 will hit.
6 psychic damage, and then 10 damage. So he'll just throw the blade to his neck.
As your green emerald blade sort of strikes out from your hand over at this clawfoot, it would hit its jugular, slicing deep but not quite deep enough, as you would watch its very dark red blood sort of spill down its side. Wounded, but it will continue following on this flank as well, seeing the rest of its pack pressing on.
That's it, right? Yeah, action, bonus action, did that. Yeah, I'll just tell Lucky to stay strong, buddy. You might take a hard tumble here. And then he'll just try and make sure his arm is wrapped up pretty tight in the reins in case he loses consciousness.
Fair enough. Good call. You sort of give that double wrap around the arm, making sure that the tension's there.
Probably in his left arm, it's like all bloody and shit. He's just like, oh god, I don't feel so good.
We'll cut over to Enna, sort of on that opposite side. 2 clawfoot sandwiched in between you and Renny. 1 still on his side. 2 still flanking Armit in the lead. What would you like to do?
I guess I will. Yeah, you do have a health potion, don't you? I don't have both of them.
You drank one in the cave, and I stole one and gave it to you.
Oh, shit.
So we have 1. We should have 1 you.
We have 1, and I'm the one holding it. Awesome. Here, cat.
Oh, God.
If I throw hard enough and it breaks on him, you'll see dead, right?
Yeah, does it work if I just smash it over his head?
We could definitely give it a shot.
I'm not gonna do that.
We'll pick the glass out later.
Yeah, I will. Let's see. What's the difference between this is a 20-foot cone or a 30-foot line that's 5 feet wide versus 15-foot cone? Okay, I'm gonna fall back and risk that front one flashing out at my lizard. Sorry, lizard.
It's going to go for a swipe, though you would see it does not go for your lizard. It's trying to go for you.
Rude.
An 11.
Miss.
The claw going wide as you pull back on the reins, your riding lizard drifting back a few steps.
And I'll do my actual attack, will be this Breath of the Dragon. I'm going to do the 30-foot line so I don't risk hitting my friend or his lizard.
Easy peasy. And with this lineup, you could hit 2 of these clawfoot. One that was completely untouched, and the other one that survived one of Renny's strikes. What's our damage type here? What are you using?
I think I'll use cold damage.
Ooh, love it. Love it. And then need dexterity saving throws. And what's the DC for that?
Oh, let's see. Looks like 14.
14? That sounds right. Okay, let me roll. 17.
Bitch.
From the half-wounded one. This will be for the untouched one so far. A 20. And they will both succeed.
Which is, I think, half.
Yeah, it's only going to be half damage. So roll me, is it 2? Yeah, roll me 2 of your martial arts die.
Yeah, what is that? Looks like.
I think it's a D4 right now.
Is that plus any of my things? Or is it just D4?
I think it's just 2D4.
Okay.
Whew. This line of cold would emanate from you, pouring out into a straight line, probably hitting some trees, plants, and bushes along the way, leaving this line of frost as the lizards continue running forth. You would deal 1 damage to each of these.
You'd hate for them to get hot while they try to kill us.
That would probably be true. You would run through a shock of cold air, at least for a half second, as you guys are carrying on. So that was just your first attack. I think you can still bonus action a flurry of blows, I think, still. Because it essentially just replaces the actual attack.
Yes, and I think I will do that. Yeah. So I'll spend my last key point to Flurry of Blows.
You got this. You got this. He's going to go for that, like, the back one still? Sort of that one you just did the first bit of damage to? Or did you want to sort of drift back up?
I guess I'll stay back in case I want to do more breath weapons.
Smart. Very smart.
And I'll do poison damage on this back guy.
Ooh, love it. Love it. Give me those 2 unarmed strikes.
23.
A 23 will hit.
8 poison damage.
Max damage.
All right, give me one more unarmed strike.
I
Oh, a 9 will miss, going wide. This clawfoot, it's looking back your way. You'd probably hear it almost like bark, almost chitter out to the rest of the pack. They are upset. They did not expect this to go this way. That was our action, bonus action, and just a little bit of movement from our lizard. Is there anything else Enna was trying to do?
think that's all she's got at the moment.
All right. We will go to Clawfoot's turn. As we look at the 5 remaining of these, again, velociraptor creatures that are chasing you all in this constant pursuit. The one that you were hitting, Enna, it's going to almost turn back. Actually, this thing is actually going to fall back a step or 2. So, Renny, if you would like, you would have a chance to use a reaction on this clawfoot as it's attempting to reposition back on that flank, trying to get the advantageous spot on Enna and her lizard.
Yes. Die. 13?
13 will just hit.
Oh, the lowest roll was 15, so it's like, oh no. 11. 11's like max damage.
As this clawfoot would try to drift back, Enna, you would maybe see this male intent in his eyes as it would begin to leap up, going for a strike at you before another green emerald blade would streak through the air, impacting the mid-air clawfoot as it would thud down to the ground, being left behind dead.
Ha!
That's it for that one. The other 2, they're both going to take swipes at you, Renny.
Leave them alone!
I got haters everywhere.
The one on the right, the much more damaged one that you have hit both, it will go for a bite. A 7.
Maybe he just like catches his face with his foot, just kind of pushes him back off.
You heel it back. The one on your left will go for a claw. 14.
Misses. Maybe we'll say the armor just fucking eats it.
Oh, for the first time, that new armor, you would see it in full effect as that claw would rend across your chest, would leave such a minor scratch along its surface before it would land back in the ground.
He looks down in it like, oh, thank God.
Only 2 on Armit. One on the left will go for its bite. 17 will hit.
Oh my God.
Oh, low damage. We needed that low damage. Armit is not looking very healthy, but thankfully hit a big heal. Other one on his right will go for a claw. A 10 will miss Armit.
Stop being weak.
As the claw goes wide, Armit probably trying to cover his head, just barely ducking in time as the clawfoot would land back in its motion. And we'll close out the turn with Armit. I mean, yeah, he's so busted up. He's gonna place the hand back on his chest. And I'd probably hear an Elven, "Please, beacon of virtue, not like this." And he will heal for 6. Thank you. We needed that.
Nice.
Pick up cure wounds next time.
And with his action, yeah, he's gonna look over at the very damaged one right by you, Renny. The very first one that you were able to strike at, outside of the one that you hit that was pouncing on Enna. And he's going to go for another Produce Flame, launching this small little mote of fire at its head. A 9 will miss.
Why? All these 9s this match.
It will go wide, not finding its purchase, moving to the top of the initiative. Again, 6 seconds passing. Constant motion in this moving combat. Blood trails probably being left behind by not just you, but the clawfoot, your lizards. And we'll go to Renny. You still have 2 of these clawfoot, 1 on each side. You know the one on your right is almost dropped. It is barely keeping pace. The one on your left is wounded, but It's still keeping up.
Can I decide? So if I make like an offhand strike first, like, can I decide when to proc my sneak attack?
Correct.
I guess I was gonna do that first. It wouldn't matter. But anyway, okay. So I think what he's going to do is, like, his left arm's kind of tied up in the rein still. He's gonna kind of try and stand and use that as like leverage to lean.
Mm-hmm.
And he's gonna make a psychic dagger in his hand and just try and stab it into the neck, the one that's super wounded.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll do like an offhand.
Get it.
11.
An 11 will miss as you swipe wide.
And then, as he's still kind of leaning over like that, he's gonna make a psychic blade and just throw it forward at one attacking
Armin?
Armit. Do you want to say Arnett?
Easy enough. You won't get advantage, but if it hits, it will pop sneak attack.
25.
A 25
Nice.
will hit.
Kill it.
8, 13 damage. As he sort of misses with the dagger, creates a blade, just hucks it forward.
You huck that blade forward as it finds its purchase. It would wound that raptor severely, but it would continue its movement. Seeing you now have 3 very bloody looking clawfoot running with you. Only one is untouched at this moment. Anything else for Renny?
I was just making sure I used all my bits. Yeah, because that'd be action. Bonus action. Just thematically, like, because like, I picture he's kind of like on its side, like standing up with it. He'll kind of just wrestle himself back in the middle and then like retighten up the reins just in case he passes out.
Perfect.
And that'd be it.
And we will cut to Enna.
So to review, I'm on Rennie's right, and there is one wounded survivor in the middle of us who keeps dodging everything. And then there's one partially wounded one to his left, and then there's 2 on Armit, one of which just got damaged.
Correct.
Maybe Renny would just call it like, finish this one and then help Arnett.
Cool. That's what I'm hoping.
Me too.
Here's hoping. I guess I'll do another. Can I do a Breath of the Dragon on this one next between us?
I would say so. And I would say from your current positioning, I think that if you lined it up right, you could hit the one that's on Rennie's right and the one that is on Armit's right.
That'd be nice.
So I think you definitely could. You replace that action with your Breath of the Dragon, and you could get a 30-foot line that's hopefully going to hit both of these guys.
Hell yeah. That's what she'll do then.
All right. Do some dex saves from our clawfoot. This will be for the one that is closest to you, the one that's flanking Rennie's right. A 21 will succeed.
Ugh.
The one flanking Armit's side. An 18. These things only have a +3 to their dex. So they would both succeed, taking half damage.
It's lightning.
Lightning this time. Roll me 2d4 lightning damage.
5.
Nice. Hey, more damage. Somehow, the one right in front of you is still barely lingering on to life, while the one next to Armit, after taking that lightning damage, looks terribly perturbed as this crack just forms, heading straight from you, hitting both of them, but not finishing off either one.
Can you remind me, how does offhand attacks work? Like, since I'm proficient in unarmed, does that mean anything?
Basically, what you can do with, like, you mean like your flurry of blows?
No, I just don't. I'm out of key points and I don't have any bonus action, I don't think. So I was trying to remember how offhand works.
So it'll basically just be like a single unarmed strike for you.
Okay. I'm going to try and finish off that one between us.
Get him. 18 will hit.
This is cold damage.
Ooh. 6 cold damage as you maybe ride up just another foot or two just to close that distance just a little bit, and you reach out and just hammer fist this clawfoot with your cold, icy fist. As soon as it would impact, you would see the side of its head you touch would cave in before frosting over. The clawfoot lifelessly slopping to the ground as it would be left behind in the motion. Only 3 clawfoot remain.
Nice, finally. Now. So there's not any next to me right now, right?
Correct. There is none next to you. There's only one on Rennie's left, which is essentially now loosely Renny and his lizard are sandwiched between you and one last clawfoot that's kind of busted. And then Armit would have 2 on his, one on his left and one on his right. The one on his right being almost dropped. The one on his left looking healthy.
Yeah, I'm just gonna shout to Renny like, "Don't die!" And then I'm gonna yeah. I'm gonna rush forward to join Armit up there.
I love it. And you can, because of your positioning, you could move up to his left or right if you wanted to move up to the bloody clawfoot or the untouched clawfoot. It's your pick.
I guess I'll join the bloodied one.
Easy peasy. You, yeah, come on, Dapple. Closing that distance.
On Dapple. On Sunbeam. Yeah. That's it.
Solid turn. We will go to the clawfoot's turn. Looking about, their numbers halved. The untouched one, you would maybe pick out that it would almost be a leader, as it would survey the damage that the clawfoot have actually done to you and the damage that you've done to them, as it's going to make a wisdom saving throw. We will say on a 13 or higher, the clawfoot will recede. It will fall back. Considering this a loss, anything higher than a 13, they're going to try to push it as long as they can. That is an 18 wisdom check.
Now we're out for revenge instead of food.
As the clawfoot decide to stay in combat, you would hear another one of those barks, almost like a command being called out from the unwounded clawfoot. Arr, arr. As the wounded clawfoot that you moved up to sort of get beside Enna will reach out towards you, bringing its claws as close as it can, trying to rend you. A 15.
Miss.
Ooh, claws going wide as it misses, landing back, continuing its run. The one on Renny will leap out with a bite, trying to snap at your free hand. A 13.
Misses.
Maybe this time you elbow its face out of the way as it's snapping in, reeling back your hand and just elbow checking it. The one healthy clawfoot still on Armit is going to leap out and take a bite at him. A 15 will hit Armit.
No.
6 piercing damage.
Wait, he healed it.
He did heal. He healed for, I believe, 6, so
yeah.
He's low, but Armit is
status quo.
Armit is swaying in his saddle right now. He's almost doing what you're doing, Renny. You maybe pick up on that as he takes his right arm and wraps it several times in these reins, taut, and he's trying to position his feet in the saddle so they're sort of in the stirrups as best as they could be. He's not looking great. We'll close out our round with Armit. He will use his blast healing word on himself. There would be no words this time. Enna, as you're riding his flank, he just has a desperate look across his face. As he heals for 7, that is max healing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the one on his right, that very wounded one, is going to reach out his free hand, that left hand, and you would almost see it go bear-like in that moment, as he's going to go for a primal savagery swing on this guy.
In him.
A 19 will hit.
Yeah.
6 acid damage as you see this bear claw rip through the eye of this clawfoot. The acid burning through as it would yelp out, falling as your lizard essentially has to leap over this clawfoot as it is left behind in your view, Renny.
That was the wounded one, right? Up by Armit.
So now he just has...
So we have one more that's fine.
You have the one healthy one on Armit's left side, the opposite side that Enya's on. And you have the one busted up one still on your left side. And we will go to the top of initiative, Renny. You have one on you, one left on Armit, and they have blood in their eyes.
He's gonna lean forward. All right, Biscuit, just remember, just follow Armit. Whatever happens, just follow Armit. And he's gonna stand up, reins taut. He's gonna try and use steady aim, and he's gonna target the healthy one on his side.
Beautiful. As you're looking over at that, again, it's a little bit larger, more rotund looking clawfoot as you see it keeping good pace with Armit. You get a clear line of sight as you're standing on the mount. Give me that attack with advantage.
25.
25 will hit.
10 psychic and 11 sneak attack, so 21 damage.
Holy shit.
Pops up and just lets this psychic sword basically fly through the air.
You would let it fly across the space, only about 15 or so feet, as it would impact into the back of this lead clawfoot's head, as it would topple over, ass over tea kettle, as it stumbles in a bit of a spiral, killing it instantly with one shot.
And then exhausted, he'll probably just like roll back and just like let the reins keep him in the saddle as he just...
And you would see as Renny sort of slops back down Enna, seeing him drop the clawfoot that was flanking Armit's left side. There would only be a singular one that would be trailing Renny's left flank, as it would be looking at him hungrily, disregarding any carnage that has gone around it this turn.
So what sort of action or whatever would it be for me to hand him, like, if I fall back and I ride alongside him on the side without the clawfoot, and I try to hand him the health potion?
I'd let you hand it off for an action.
For an action?
Kill it, yeah.
For an action.
Kill it.
I guess I'll just fall beside it and try to kill it.
Easy enough. You pull back on those reins, Dapple falling back as you maybe get a bit of a diagonal slant, sort of falling back. Now, the final clawfoot sandwiched in between you and Renny. Probably get a good sight on just how tired Renny looks in this saddle. He's like bleary-eyed looking over at you.
A little pale. Gives you like the bloodied thumbs up.
I'll do a short sword attack.
Get him.
Please.
Got this.
Oh my god.
An 8 will miss.
Offhand, my unarmed strike. Bitch. Fucking die. For flavor, this is fire. 15.
15 will hit. 5 fire damage as you wail into this thing's neck, searing its side where you punched. You can almost see the punch imprint on its neck. Anything else on your turn as this thing is still here?
That's it.
All right. We will cut to the final clawfoot.
Can I try to get its attention, like screaming at it?
You definitely can. Give me an intimidation check or a persuasion check.
Okay.
Punch it at least with fire.
Ah!
Look at me.
Intimidation.
You got this. A 13. It would maybe take a couple of shouts, and your voice would almost go draconic. You get that deep, almost echo. And the clawfoot turning, looking at you in acknowledgement, as it would leap up and try to bite at you. 21.
That hits.
Take 11 piercing damage as its teeth bite hard into your bicep, tearing and rending some of the flesh before it lets go.
I'm probably still like shouting draconically for flavor.
I love it. Closing out our initiative. Armit wouldn't have any healing left. He would hold out his hand, probably weakly in draconic, look back at the single clawfoot, and Enna probably hearing, again, in Elvish, "Burn, burn," as he will go for another produce flame.
Come
A
on!
21 will hit. 3 fire damage, as you would see a small ball of flame surge through the air, impact dead center on this clawfoot's chest as it falls back, thudding to the ground in a quick second, before only a moment later you could no longer see it lost in the foliage. We are out of initiative. As you would all continue on, Armit probably looks back, shouting weakly, We need to continue on. We can't stop and rest just yet. Are you both okay?
Yeah, I'll be fine.
Yeah. And then I'll reach out and I have that health potion in my hand. I'm like offering it to you, Renny, as we're like riding side by side.
I'll take it just in case.
All right, you move to the middle.
Yeah, he'll probably kind of square up in the middle. He'll still kind of have his arm wrapped around the reins, and then maybe he'll have the health pot at the ready just in case anything else pops up.
I think that makes sense. As our sight would fall back, we would see now a line of these lizards being ridden atop by our party, proceeding through at a rapid clip. Some of the riding lizards would be wounded after about 30-45 minutes not moving quite as fast as they were, that adrenaline surge beginning to fade. They would continue on for about another hour or so, leaving the sight of those claw foots far, far behind in the gold reach. Our sight drifting back, seeing the large trees overhead and the tight canopy of leaves shading you down below on the forest floor. And as our party continues on their trek to the river village, I think that's where we'll end our session for today.
We survived. That was fucking
Good
scary.
We did it.
God, you guys. Whew.
Ugh.
I had 5 health
Whew.
for a long time.
I think I need to get this flail set up. Enya is not made for short swords, apparently.
I don't understand how this works.
Oh,
You just get a flail that just looks like a fist.
I love
Dude,
that,
a
actually,
flaming
so much.
fist.
Smack, smack.
That's canon, just so you know.
It's good. Rick on.
Oh, that's amazing.
We should have got health bots before we left. That's what we need to spend all our money on.